for me. I had to make that decision, and at times, everyone will have to make that decision. That doesn't mean it has to come to a fist fight or a shouting match, but it does mean that at some point, every one of us has to think for ourselves and has to have the courage and the faith to go with our gut and to believe that somewhere down the road, it will all work out. Because believing that is the only thing that can inspire you to be the people that you actually want to be. No one else's blessing, no one else's agreeing with you is ever going to get that for you. Right now, Carson believes that everything I say is gospel. One day down the road, that's going to change, and he's not going to believe that. And he's going to think I'm wrong about certain things. When that happens, you'll probably all know, because it'll be the biggest midlife crisis I've ever experienced. Not like the one that my wife thought I was having when I decided to get blonde highlights and 3 tattoos. That was just, I don't know what you call that, but it wasn't a midlife crisis like this one will be. Trust me. Yeah, come on now. Seriously. And so, every one of us is going to have to do it at some point. It's the only way we can individuate ourselves from our parents, from our friends, from our society, and become the people we want to become. Now, the second point that I have today is about love, relationships, and worthiness. That famous word, love, we use it about so many things. We use it about people. We use it about, hopefully, our jobs as we get older and we get jobs and all that, but a lot of times, unfortunately, that's not the case for our jobs. But the word love is so powerful because love is a powerful thing. It is non-judgmental. It is open-minded. It's accepting of people. It's passionate, and it's willing to do anything for the person that you love, that you care about. You always hear that expression about the opposite of love. It's not hate, it's indifference. And I believe that is so true. And we need to show that kind of completely open, completely accepting kind of love to other people. But I will tell you this right now. The only way you're ever going to show that to people is if you first experience that love for yourself. If you first understand that in you there is a basic sense of worthiness, that you deserve to be the person that you are, that who you are is just right for you, that you are a part of a bigger picture, and that your part is critical to that bigger picture. It doesn't even take a belief in God. I happen to believe in God. Some people believe in God and some don't. It doesn't matter whether you believe you were created by God or the universe, whether you believe you were created by a miracle or by a random act of science and nature. But either way, you were created uniquely from anyone else. And that in and of itself is enough to make you worthy of being exactly who you are. The way that you are is perfect for you. And what you need to do is to surround yourself with people who are willing to accept you just the way you are. Not people who are going to force you to be someone you're not. Not people who are going to force you to wear masks and try to be someone different just to please them. Going through school, I didn't have a whole lot of friends. I had a few. I never really was picked on that much. Once in a great while. One time a student actually took my drink at lunch and exchanged it for a bottle of ketchup. And people said, "How'd that make you feel?" It made me feel like I wanted French fries to dip in the ketchup. I was never picked on that much, but people were afraid of me. They were afraid that I wouldn't want to do what they were doing. They were also afraid because my dad happened to be the superintendent of the school where we attended school, and so they were afraid I was going to run to Daddy and tell them every little thing, which was not the case. But I learned very early on, and unfortunately this was a huge mistake, and it really messed me up for a lot of years, but I learned that it was much easier to make friends if you were willing to be the person they wanted you to be. This was really a big problem for me because it caused me to have major issues down the road. I realized later that I had surrounded myself by people whose love was really not unconditional. They said it was unconditional, but really it was unconditional as long as I stayed that same person. It got to the point where I began to lose sight of who I really was. And I'm a very loyal, very caring person. So I began to believe that if I really cared about someone, I would change myself to be who they wanted me to be. The problem was I couldn't hang out with a whole bunch of friends together because all these people were seeing a different side of me. And so if one of them was to see the wrong side of me that they didn't want, I felt that they would abandon me. That fear of being alone, that fear of being abandoned. You think that's crazy, just hang on to your hats because it gets weirder yet. As I got older, it turned into not only fear, but real anxiety. I'm talking actual anxiety attacks where I could not breathe, where I was sick to my stomach, where I just was cold all the time. I was pacing the floor. I didn't want to do anything. Eventually to the point that I didn't want to live. You think I'm exaggerating? Trust me when I say it right now. If any of you are or have been at this place in your life, you need to come talk to me because I have been there. I haven't told very many people, but I actually had a plan as to how I was going to do it. I actually had a plan as to how I was going to do it. But I finally decided I needed to make a drastic change and make it quickly. Was it easy? Well, after you've suffered a number of anxiety attacks, it certainly gets easier. But sometimes it was still difficult because I had to change myself back to who I really wanted to be. And I had to allow people to start seeing that so that they could decide if they really wanted a friendship with me or not. I had to choose people that I would hang out with based on who actually was willing to accept me as I was and who didn't make me wear a mask, in a manner of speaking, to be their friend. And it was difficult, but I can honestly tell you that as a result, I am now a better person for it, and the group of friends that I have are now people that I consider to be the best people in the world. Find the people who are willing to accept you as you are. Do not fall prey to other people wanting you to be a certain way just to fit in. Do not fall victim to that, because people will always be willing to tell you who you should be if you don't tell them first. People will always be willing to stereotype you. Let me tell you, the stereotypes don't stop with blindness. I've been stereotyped for being a man. A guy will come up to me that's a friend and be like, well, let's go watch the races while the girls go shop. And I'll say, hey man, I like shopping. Sorry, I'll see you later. I get stereotyped for being a pastor. People think because you're a pastor, you never have a glass of wine. People think because you're a pastor, you never listen to anything but Christian music. Let me tell you, if you look on my iPod right now, there's a whole bunch of music on there, and it's not all gospel music. Lady Gaga, Kesha, Beyonce, the Beatles, Elvis, you name it, I've got it. I happen to love Katy Perry. I'm going to meet her someday, I'm convinced of it. I go downstairs and I work out and I exercise and I'm jamming to Katy Perry, not to gospel. I'm walking on the treadmill and I'm like, I kissed the girl, and I'll tell you what, my other one is Waking Up in Vegas, and I love the song. And here's the one thing that happens to you when you do believe in God. You change the words to fit your situation. I'm exercising on the treadmill, and suddenly I realize that I'm out of breath and I can't move. So instead of where she sings, give me some cash out, baby, I change the words and I say, don't let me pass out, Jesus. You can make it work. You can make it work. I'm glad that went over well. Trust me, I planned that for a long time. Find the people who are willing to accept you for who you are, who do not insist that you change to someone else. And I promise, no matter who you are, you will find someone that likes you exactly that way, that realizes that you are perfect just as you are. I'd like to share one final song with you, and then my final point will be in, I think, about maybe 3 weeks, something like that, February 21st, if you guys are interested. You wanna do it again? Yeah. All right, let's do this last song then, and I think we'll have you out of here in time.